Reverend McDonald. Now we're going to get to the other side of the Atlanta public school system. But Rev. Timothy McDonald has been with us as we confront this issue.
Good morning, CBC. Good morning. It's always good to come here on a Monday morning and get your juices flowing.
You know you're right.
That was a nice reception for Brother Sutton. I'll probably share some things that may not be quite as nice. Thank you, Mr. President. Because we got to set the record straight on a few things that's going on with the Atlanta public school system. A lot of times we've operated on false information and myths about Atlanta public school system. For someone who's been involved for a long time, going all the way back to Dr. Benny Mays, who became the first black head of the Atlanta public school system. Been arrested about 3 or 4 times at school board meetings because they weren't treating our children right. I want to start by this whole mess that we're in now. The cheating scandal, the CRCT. Please understand, it came into being No Child Left Behind. George W. Bush, assault on public education.
That's right. Black man.
All over the nation. It is the worst thing that we've ever done as a country to public education. No one test should ever determine the intellectual capacity of any child.
That's right.
And so the whole CRCT mess is a sham. It ain't nothing but a sham. It ain't nothing but a cover-up to destroy public education. And they got all of us running around like ants buying into it. It's a sham, y'all. We don't need to be playing that game on the CRCT exam. And who is being assaulted? Look at the investigators. Look at Mike Bowers, former state Attorney General. Look at Bob Wilson, former DeKalb County DA. Look at the GBI. Who are they? What race? What sex? They're white men. They're stating facts. Look at the Atlanta public school system. Look at who comprises the Atlanta public school system as administrators, teachers.
Women.
Not only are they overwhelmingly women, they are black women. That's why CBC had the press conference that we did when they tried to pull in a black male, Paul Howard, to try to fool us again that it ain't just white men attacking black women. You got to see the larger picture. And they know it. They said it in several meetings themselves. Bob Wilson, they said that we don't want to come across as white males attacking black women, but that is precisely what is happening. And we cannot sit idly by and allow that historical racist attack to continue without a voice. We can't do that. Third issue. This whole thing about the board. This present board is in violation of the charter. It's in violation. In 2003, it's concerned black clergy, a number of teachers, administrators, and a lot of parents. We worked real hard to get a new charter because almost every other year we had 5 members of the board voting out superintendents and voting in a new one. In 10 years we had 5 superintendents in Atlanta public schools. It was just crazy. They couldn't get nothing done. And who was suffering? The children. So we came up with a community plan. Clergy were involved. Educators were involved. Parents were involved. Even the business community was involved. And we went to the state legislature and the state black caucus. Vincent Ford, all of them. And at that time, Reed was there. We changed the charter that you could no longer have a 5-4 vote. It had to be at least 6 votes. This present board changed policy, not on 6 votes, but on 5 votes, and violated the charter. They were in violation. How do we say that? And you can ask me questions later. There's a difference between a consent decree and a law. Bob Wilson know a lot of judges. Mike Bowers know a lot of judges who will support their position. So I don't know why black folks say, well, the judge ruled that they were all right with the 5-4 ruling. That's a bunch of malarkey. I'm glad I'm a preacher. What the judge issued was any lawyers in here? Janet gone.
She just stepped out.
Was a consent decree, not a ruling on the legality of the violation of the charter. We can consent that today is Tuesday. If all of us say today is Tuesday, Judge, we agree that today is Tuesday. Consent. That is consent. Ain't ruled that today is Monday. That wasn't his ruling. His ruling was that we agreed that today is Tuesday. And he granted us that consent, and now y'all go and work it out. The judge did not rule on the violation of the law. And he said it himself. Who did rule on the violation of the law was Thurber Baker, the Attorney General of the state of Georgia, who said that they were indeed violating the charter that was voted on by the Georgia General Assembly with the consent and support of parents, teachers, administrators, religious community, business community in 2003. They are to this day in violation of that charter. Because we didn't want to be where we are right now. 5-4 vote, that ain't nothing new with the Atlanta public school system. They've been doing that for 20-something years. You get 5 votes, you can change it overnight. We wanted to not have our children being played like ping pong balls. You got to have at least 6. And they have not been able to get 6 votes to agree that today is Monday. That's how dysfunctional this board is. It is totally dysfunctional. So, Mr. President, there was an issue about a deputy superintendent who in a meeting of principals said that they should not support the investigation. And in fact, I can say that the preacher had a document that tells them to go to hell. Preachers know about heaven and hell. Yes, sir. Somebody going to heaven. I believe somebody going to hell too. Somebody got to go. Dr. Border said some of these folks, it ain't for 15 minutes. They got to go by hell. I hope you heard the latest report, because it got kind of scooped under the table when they got to the facts. When they got to the facts about this meeting, and she got her attorney and finally granted an interview. The AJC started this mess from an anonymous. Well, you can't even sign your name, so I already know half of what you say is a lie. You can't put your name to it, I ain't gonna believe it. That's right. An anonymous memo came out saying that Deputy Superintendent Cockman said this, said that, and passed out a memo to tell the investigators to go to hell. And now, at the facts, and she was interviewed 8 hours by these same investigators the other day, and they came out shaking their heads, saying this woman has done nothing wrong. They have documentation of the principals who were in that meeting that what was alleged in that anonymous memo never even happened. Never was even said. They pulled that little go to hell thing off the internet and say this as an exercise. If you're mad at somebody, if you're stressed out at somebody, anybody, it can be a deacon. Just write their name on there and tell them where they can go. And then they tore them up right there in the meeting. So we got to be careful how much stock we put in the media report, especially the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Especially them. And the AJC and you got to know they're all owned AJC, Channel 2, WSB. They're all owned by the Cox system, Cox Broadcasting.
That's right.
So they all gonna say the same thing. One lie just leads to another lie. So we want to get that clarified for your information. And then, the final thing I want to say is about these judges and things. Please be aware about when you hear even a judge's ruling on certain matters. When Social Security was first introduced in this country, yes, when Social Security, I've closed out with that, was first introduced in this country, there were judges that they found across the country who ruled that it was unconstitutional. Socialism. And that we don't need no Social Security in America. They found conservative judges. Don't you know they have always been conservative judges?
On the Supreme Court.
When Medicare, sure enough, was first introduced, there were judges that they found who said that Medicare was nothing but socialism stirred up 10 times. And we didn't need no Medicare. Who in here got Medicare? You're 65 and old. Lord, I can't wait. I ain't gonna retire till I get mine. 65.
Heaven, Jesus.
Social Security, one of the best things going, Medicare, but I'm saying they had judges who ruled against it. When the Civil Rights Act was first introduced, all across the South, they had judges. And I'm saying like Mike Bowers, and like Bob was, they don't be surprised that a judge might rule a certain way. They always got crazy judges. Amen. They always been around. They ruled against the Civil Rights Act. They ruled against the Voting Rights Act. But I stand today to say what? They're all law. Social Security, Medicare, Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, housing.
Fair housing.
Obamacare, they got judges. It's unconstitutional. We gonna fight it. That ain't nothing new. Don't get bent out of proportion. They've always had judges. They got others who say it's fine. It is constitutional. You ought to know what's right in your own heart. That we all deserve health care. Every American citizen. Now, today, I just want to get that judge thing up. This is my last thing for Mr. President. SACS is meeting with the board. Again. And the board has to report its progress on those recommendations. Now, you can say what you want to say about SACS.
Yes,
I ain't crazy about SACS either. But right now, they driving this vehicle. Right now, they got the power. You can fight them and however you want to, whenever you want to. But if we don't get this act together by September, who gonna suffer? Our children.
SACS overreached.
Our children. SACS is arbitrary at times. They ain't always clear, but they meeting with the board today, and they wrote it down. They got recommendations, and you better be addressing these, or our children are going to suffer. Accreditation will be denied, and they have proven that they will deny accreditation.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they proven that they'll take it away. Go right down the street here to Clayton.
Only black schools urban.
Go right down the street. So we better be putting pressure on the school board. You can fight SACS on the side, but you better be putting pressure on this dysfunctional school board that is concerned more about itself than it is about our children. Yes. And until we do that, at the end of the day, the ones who really going to be hurting, the one who really going to feel the brunt of all of this adult stupidity, are our children. Thank you, Mr. President.
Quick questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that order. Quick question, please.
They're going to have public comment from 5 to 6 today. At the board, yeah.
Number 2.
Will the concerned black clergy consider a strong request to the school board that they meet with us?
Concerned black clergy, including our president, Dr. Durley, former president, myself, we have met hours and hours and hours. In private meetings, you mentioned Dr. Lowry, convened by Dr. Lowry. There were meetings that lasted 3 and 4 hours, 3 Saturdays in a row. We had 5 board members present at each of those meetings. And in the opinion of those community folk who were there, and a doggone thing changed.
Number 3.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What is the action that we want to take from here?
Well, let me share with you what they're doing at Grady on the north side. You may have heard it's been in the press a lot. An organization of parents, primarily, step up or step down. They are primarily white, but there are black folk in that as well. We've been trying to get parents on the south side to organize. As you can tell, we've not been very successful at that. And we're wondering, parents, don't you love your children? Aren't you concerned about your children? The step up or step down are planning on, and right now we're in negotiations on an action on the 14th, preceding and during the school board meeting on March the 14th. We have not concretized that yet, but after the meeting today with SACS and seeing where the school board is and addressing those issues, we will be clear on what we should be requesting of the school board. Right now, what is stirring is a sentiment to, at the very least, ask the present chair, or to go back to what was original, before the 5-4 went rogue. And at least that will help in satisfying some of SACS' concerns. SACS' concerns were strictly on board governance, not the CRCT, and we need to be clear about that. SACS' concern is strictly about the board and its dysfunctionality, not the CRCT exam.